Okay, so to save you some hours of boredom while I scroll saw all these little pieces out, I've gone ahead and done a lot of it. I had this one final piece to cut out using a rather big aggressive blade. If you'll remember, I was telling you that some pieces we cut out major pieces and then I go back with a real small blade and cut out the individual pieces, which makes sure that the fit stays nice and tight. Don't forget, we have our shirt that has double layers that we have to cut out and put together right. And I've already cut out a bunch of them. Here's the pieces of all these trees, and this is that zebra wood, which is very, very hard, which is the reason for the big aggressive blade. And some other pieces are done up now too. So, and I've got about another hour or so work here, and I'm not going to make you watch all that. I will cut different pieces, maybe five, and show you 3 or 4 segments, 5 minutes about at the time, and maybe I can speed that up so it doesn't even take that long. So anyway, this is how it works. I'm not going to talk much because I'm going to have the vacuum going, I'm going to have the machine running, and you probably wouldn't hear what I had to say anyway, so I'm pretty much just going to concentrate on what I'm doing. Let me turn the vacuum on here. As you see, that makes quite a bit of noise. And we go to work. Notice I've got a smock on to prevent dust and a mask. You always have to have a mask. Scroll saws prevent very, very fine dust. And even though I have all this vacuum connected, fine dust still floats in the air and right up your nostrils and into your lungs, and we don't want that. So now we can get busy here. Notice you don't work very fast with a scroll saw. Scroll saws are not machines you can brute force, and that's going to have some adjustment made to it. You can't brute force a scroll saw, you have to take it easy. You can only finesse them. Okay, I finished cutting with the real heavy blades. Now we're going to slice all these little individual pieces apart. So I switched over to a very, very fine blade. In this case I'm doing the double wide, so this is not my finest blade. We'll get to that in a little bit. But since this is double thick, we'll use this number 1 blade that I picked and cut these little pieces apart. By following the lines as I cut these apart, I guarantee that I'm going to have a pretty much perfect fit. So let me get the vacuum on and we'll start cutting. Okay, time to change the blade for an even smaller blade to go through these 1-layer pieces. Back in a minute. Okay, we've changed over to the finest blade I got, a number 2.0, and now we'll finish cutting out all these single layer pieces here. Got to stop for a minute and drill some eyeballs. Okay, we think we're done with the cutting, but we're not. Remember, I still have to put the word Chuck, or the name Chuck, across here. So I've got a little bit of more scroll sign to do to inlay that word in this part of the vest. This means I'm going to have to cut this in half this way, because I only want to work with about a ½ inch of material. And I'll do that on the bandsaw. And then we'll put the light wood that I'm going to make the word Chuck out of and this together, and literally we will cut them out from this side, the back side, and the name Chuck will be backwards on this board. And then once we're done cutting and we can put the words in there, and you'll see how it comes out. But for right now, we're done with the major part of the cuts. So we're going to go ahead and check all this for fit before I even start this. I've got a whole bunch of pieces here, and we need to find out if they even fit together before we can go much further. Okay, first time these things have been fitted together. We've got a whole bunch of pieces made from whole bunches of different kind of wood that I've cut out, and some of them cut them out so they'd fit together real tight, and other ones you kind of do the best you can. You don't look for a very perfect fit on this first fitting. The reason being, I don't know if you can see it, but on the back of these things are little fuzzy pieces of hairs of wood sticking out, and that's because scroll saws leave little fuzzy hairs of wood sticking out the back side of the piece. Those prevent a perfect fit right from the start. I haven't knocked those, we call them the fuzzies, down yet. And the other thing is that some of the pieces may need to be worked together a little bit more. We can do it on the scroll saw, just put them together and cut a little bit. I'm having an issue with the bird. Apparently the pattern that I use for the bird is bigger than the pattern that I had on the paper. I don't know how that happened, but I can trim branches a little bit and get a fit. That's not a big issue. It's just something we find out from the start. So this is the first fitting. It's pretty much together. I did take the double layer of red cedar and aspen down, and I just put in the individual pieces the way they are. That's why you kind of see wood and paper right there. Once I peel the paper off the red cedar, you'll actually see how the check pattern is going to work. So here we are so far. A little bit more adjusting and we will have a fit, and then we can start shaping the piece. Okay, we're just finishing up peeling the paper off, the pattern paper off the pieces and marking them on the back. We mark them on the back with the number or some kind of mark for two reasons. One, it kind of, as you first start playing with your piece, it kind of gives you a reference as to where each piece goes. However, after you've fiddled with this thing and sanded and taken it apart and put it back together, you pretty much get a memorization of where all the pieces are. So, the second and probably the most important piece, or reason for this, is to tell you which side not to sand. If you pick up a piece and you're looking at some kind of mark or a number or whatever, flip it over, because this is the side you want to sand, not the side with the mark on it. And as you can see now, we've pretty much determined there really is a teddy bear sitting on a log with a chainsaw and a cardinal hidden in all those pieces of wood we cut out. He's kind of flat. Yes, I know some pieces are thicker than other pieces, and we don't care because we're going to sand them all down to what we want anyway. So this guy is just about ready to shape. Remember earlier I had said that the pattern I used to cut out the bird for some reason was larger than the pattern that I put in the layout. I don't know how that happened. I don't care how that happened. As a result, this piece here came up about 1/4 of an inch too short. That's easy to fix. I will cut a new one so that it fits perfectly. So that's done. Secondly, this guy needs a name tag right there. It's supposed to say Chuck. So I have to take this piece and fix that in there. That's a method of doing inlay. Remember, this is where I said I was going to cut it in half and laminate some light wood and with this and flip it over and cut it from the back. I'll get into that in a little detail later on. But for right now, this is pretty much what you get. Okay, I've taken my this piece, which comes from here, and cut it in half. Now we're just going to use the upper half of this. I flip it over because I want to deal with the back side of it. I've already cut out the word Chuck backwards, and I've spread a little glue on it, and that's going to sit right over that pocket, just so. Here's the wood that I'm going to use for the letters. It's a light wood. Actually, it's box elder without the red streak in it. So we're going to position our piece over that. Now, we're going to cut with this side facing up, even though it's the back side, because these letters are backwards. And once we get everything all cut out, then we can flip it over. The letters will face the right direction and they'll fit down into this wood. The term I'm going to use is 1 degrees. What I have to do is normally I keep everything straight up and down, but now I got to go about 1 degrees off at an angle instead of straight up and down. I do that on a drill press where I can drill down through these holes so I can get a scroll saw blade in there, and then I adjust my scroll saw table so the blade is 1 degree off so I can cut the letters. And we'll go see how it works and if I have to make another one afterwards.